So he pulls his finger out and says, "Okay, Mr. Rashid, the doctor will see you now." I've no idea who that guy was.
We're on.
Hey, sports fans, Haroon Rashid, Khemeia Consulting, and welcome to Haroon's Hangout, the internationally featured show presented by Movi. Today, we have a really good show for you guys. Here we go. I'm just going to bring this on the screen for you. And can you hear me, Ian?
I can, yeah.
Excellent. So we're joined by the Khemeia director, Ian Sharp.
Hello.
Good to have you back on the
I
show.
can still...
Excellent. And today we're going to be talking about the 5-step marketing plan, and we're going to give you guys a free template as well that we give to all of our clients. Lucky you. And in today's show, here are what the 5 steps are. So this is just to get you kick-started with your digital marketing if you're new to digital marketing, or even if you've already made a start with digital marketing. It's always good to go back and revisit these things because it's always just good practice to do that. So here are the steps we'll be going through: goals, buyer personas, SEO or search engine optimization for those of you who may not be familiar with that term, and perception, and finally content. So Haroon's Hangout is brought to you by Movi, the video messaging application that allows for back and forth video message conversations that can be either public or private. Go to movi.co to see today's top posts, sign up for free, yep, free, and join the conversations happening right now. That's movi.co. So let's bring up the template then, and this is the 5-step marketing plan, and this is what will be available for download after the show has gone live, and it'll be on KhemeiaConsulting.com, and you can go and find it on the blog over there. And it's a free template that we're going to give you. And we thought that we'd actually work through the template so you can see how it works. So step 1, goals. So Ian, the kind of work that you do then, it's very kind of basic questions that you ask people, you know, like what kind of turnover you're going to do. And it's amazing how many people don't actually know the answer to these questions, isn't it?
Hey, yeah. So when I generally work with a client, one of the first things that we do is to model out their business and look at what their long-term growth goals are, and then we link that back into the marketing. So there's a bit of pre-work that I tend to do, and it's quite quick to do that.
And you use the business model canvas and other visual tools, don't you, as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So business model canvas we talk about a lot, and you can see lots of links in the show notes and things about that. We also use some other visual tools and single-page plans and orbits and things like that to visually represent where the company's going and how the team have to perform and what they've got to do to get there.
Brilliant. So as you can see from this, guys, these are some really basic questions, and I cannot tell you the amount of times I've been into a company that could be even turning over $1 million, and they do not know the answers to these very basic questions, and then you wonder why. You don't wonder why it's not working. So first of all, we look at turnover. So what's your turnover going to be for the next 3 years? And Ian does this kind of plan where it's good to kind of look at a 3 to 5 year projection when he does the business modeling with you. So what's your turnover going to be? Next thing we have is number of employees. So who's going to be doing the marketing? I had one guy say to me, well, why is that any of your business? And I was like, okay, when you're actually going to be doing your digital marketing, when you're going to be blogging and doing these videos and all these weird and wonderful things, who's going to do it? Oh, I didn't think about that. Well, that's why we put it in the template, genius. So anyway, for the next 3 years, think about how many employees are you going to be having to do, because digital marketing, it does take a lot of time. Geographical reach, it's, you know, whereabouts do you guys want to be operating? I remember once when I had 2 directors in a room, and I asked them, you know, so where do you guys want to be operating geographically? One guy said Yorkshire, and the other director said, what the hell are you talking about? We want to go into Europe and everything. So there's already a disconnect, and I guess you probably find that a lot as well, don't you, Ian?
You know, it's one of the first things you find out is whether the management team are all in agreement about what they're trying to do with the company.
And I think that's really good for the kind of stuff that you do as well, because when you're doing the business modeling stuff first, you kind of get all a feel for the company. Are they on the same page or not? Are the right people in the leadership and all that kind of stuff, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. You quite quickly find out where the weak links are, who are the team players, who aren't the team players, who's on board, whether there's been a message shared and whether everybody agrees with it or not.
Totally. And the way that we do things as well is that we generally let Ian do the business modeling first. And then once they've done that, then I come in and do the marketing, because a lot of what we're doing in this template will be answered by the business model canvas, or the business modeling session, however Ian chooses to do it. So we tend to say to do that first, don't we, Ian, to do it that way around.
Absolutely, it's part of the Khemeia way, really, is to do it in that process fashion. Um, it benefits our clients most, and that's the reason we do it. You know, we want everyone to get the most out of their efforts, not just throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. That's so we have a very measured approach. We want to know where the company wants to get to, and then help them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the next step we've got then is buyer personas. Now, I know that whenever we've spoken with other marketing kind of companies, a typical marketing company will say, well, who's your target customer? And then you'd kind of go through a little process, and what they'll spit out at the end is something like, okay, your ideal customer is a male aged 18 to 25, and he lives in Bradford, West Yorkshire. And you think, well, that's not really very helpful. I still don't know how to reach them. But now, if you know what motivates somebody to buy from you, why are they going to buy from you? What's the problem? What's the need? Now that's a bit different. So as you can see here, we've got a whole load of sections for you to fill in what your buyer persona is. And we've actually given you, I think it's 5. Yeah, here we go, 5 boxes. And yes, you have more than one customer, and that's a very common thing as well, isn't it, Ian?
It is, yeah. Yeah, anybody that's got more than 5 segments that they're trying to market to, or 5 personas that they're trying to market to, is going to have a pretty hard time.
And a lot of people often say, well, when you say who's your customer, they go, well, everyone, which is like the other end of the spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, great.
So what we've done is we've given you the box over here to put in your buyer persona. So that could be, I don't know, for us, it might, for my department at Khemeia, it might be a startup company who's had their first year just about broken even, and they need to grow their business through digital marketing. That's a really good kind of detailed buyer persona. But now I've got the motivations underneath. So it might be they desperately need to make money. It might be that they're afraid of losing money. Maybe they've had investment in their startup and they need to actually start getting a return on the investment. So these are all clear motivations. You need to look at what are the problems, what are the needs, what are the desires, what are the fears. We might actually put some examples of these in the show notes so that you can see. But obviously, at the end of the template, there is a contact button where you can come and contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help you with this.
And there's a really close analogue here with what we do in the business model canvas as well, Haroon. So those motivations you talk about, they are looking at the pains and gains and what people have to do in their job, right? So what motivations do people have to come to use your service?
Absolutely. Be sure to catch At the Sharp End with the Khemeia director himself, Mr. Ian Sharp, Mondays, 10 a.m., where every business can be profitable. Make sure you catch At the Sharp End, presented by Movi, Mondays, 10 a.m., only on Google+. So let's just go back to the marketing plan now, and you should be able to see step 3, which is SEO, or search engine optimization. For those who may not know, that's just basically trying to get your content, your website, on page 1 of Google. So over here, what we've done is we've just made it really simple. What would buyer persona 1 have to Google in order to find us? And we've given you about 5 options there just to get you started with. And it's really funny, isn't it, Ian, that people spend a lot of money on SEO and they don't actually know what they're trying to optimize for, and they're kind of using the pay-per-clicks and all that, and they're not focusing on organic. Do you want to talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So people want that quick fix, don't they? So I think generally a lot of businesses talk about, well, I pay an SEO consultant to get me on page 1 of Google, and they do a great job. Actually, people say the same about their accountant when really what they've got is a bookkeeper. And so it's the same kind of argument. SEO is not a complicated world, really. The strength of your content is what makes your site findable by all the search engines, and how you discover what you should be optimizing for is part of this process, really. And once you've got that, it's absolutely enlightening. It doesn't mean it never changes either, but it's absolutely enlightening for the customers.
Absolutely. So what we've got here then is, as you can see, what would buyer persona 2 or buyer persona 3 have to Google in order to find us? And the reason we've done that is because people have a very generic approach. They have a very generic message. If you've got more than one customer and they've got different motivations, you will speak to buyer persona 1 differently to the way you speak to buyer persona 2. So for example, with my department, buyer persona 1 for me might be a startup. Buyer persona 2 might be a multi-million-pound medium-sized business. The motivations will be very different. So for the startups, it might be just getting started, kick-started off with their digital marketing. For the medium-sized company, it might be just a few tweaks because they've already got a marketing department. So they're very, very different pieces of content that I'm going to have to create to reach those customers.
You know,
so
it's worth maybe cutting in a little bit there and just talking about one of our clients who said, you know, Google has really taken over the role of our parents in the way that we used to go, hey, Dad, do you know about something? And now actually all we do is turn to our mobile phone or a tablet or PC and Google, how do I do something? So those instructables, how-to kind of videos and audio that's out there is the new way to answer those questions. And actually, that's a big part of, or can be a big part of, your SEO strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So make sure that you're being found by all those phrases for each of your buyer personas. Step 4, perception. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, there is a perception about your company, and it's best that you build that perception. This is actually an extension of the very first part of our process, which is the why and discovering your why, which is something that Simon Sinek has done, and we'll put that video in the show notes as well. But basically, this is all about language. So when I say, what's the main perception of your company, when I'm with the clients, I just say, what are the 3 words that if you might have 10 in your head, but if you had to boil it down to 3, what would they be? And don't use words like, you know, everyone's professional. But what the hell does that mean? You would hope that everyone's professional, but are you trustworthy? That's a different word. So everybody could say, well, we deliver a really fast service. Well, you would hope that they would, but do you have integrity? That's different. So try and avoid these overused buzzwords and phrases and try and use language that is going to be more emotional and have a better emotional trigger with your customers, and pick the top 3 that you think that you can use. We do that as well, don't we? I mean, we've emphasized a lot of stuff about language with our messaging, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. We think it's crucially important, don't we, to stand out and to talk about the things that you're passionate about and the things that you want your company to be known for.
Absolutely. And then the very last step, and I'm pleased that we're doing well for time. We're talking about content, okay? I've got so much content out there with this story about Leeds University and everything like that. Just sod it. We'll just put it in the show notes. I'm not going to go into it now, but it'll be available for you. But we're talking about the difference between just any kind of average content and what we call awesome content. So as you can see, we've got a formula that we use. We say that awesome content has to be interesting, relevant, and compelling. And as you can see on the screen, in the template, we've said that if you tick at least 2 out of those 3 things, you're onto a winner. If you pick all 3, you've got something that is potentially viral. So what we're trying to say is have standards when it comes to your content. Don't just put things out just for the sake of it. We're talking about quality versus quantity here. And we have a very strict kind of kind of checking process, don't we, with all of our stuff, even though we get a lot of stuff out per week, don't we, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to fit with, it's got to fit with our goals and what we're trying to achieve with our marketing plan. So, hence the real need to make it relevant, to make it compelling, and hopefully to make it interesting to people.
Brilliant. I'm just going to share the last graphic over here, and I think you can see that now. Here we go. Right, well, guys, thanks a lot for joining us today. As I say, all of this is going to be available in the show notes. You can download your template for free, and join us next week, where I'll be joined by John the Major Stevenson, and we're going to be talking about the 3 best apps for digital marketing in 2015. And we're not going to be choosing apps that you think that we're going to be choosing. So I would just say tune in for that next week at the normal time of 10 a.m. UK time. But from me and Ian, we want to say thanks a lot for watching and enjoy the template, sports fans.
Thanks, bye.